No Bunk fam, we are here with the founder, the one-man band of Acorn Golf. We're here with Nate Hryn. Nate, how are you doing, buddy?
Good, Jonathan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, but I know you're feeling better because I just found out you just graduated from college. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I graduated in December. Fortunately, a little bit early. I had some high school credits that I transferred in, and I was able to kind of graduate and get ahead of the ball game. It just kind of worked out for me where I got to graduate in 3.5 rather than do the full 4 years. But now I graduated in 3.5. I'm thinking about going back for my master's and trying to just go back and educate myself some more.
Yeah, so not only did you graduate from college, and what was your degree?
I'm marketing, so the school didn't have a marketing program when I first came in as a freshman. So I was business admin. I was bio pre-med for a hot minute, and then switched. The school asked me to kind of help get the marketing major going. So I was kind of the first pioneer to kind of graduate marketing, especially being 3.5. I think I might have been amongst like the first like one or two kids to graduate from the college with a marketing degree. And my minor's in accounting, so if I wouldn't have been able to do marketing, I would have probably majored in accounting.
Wow, so you did it in 3.5 years. You basically started your school's marketing program. You told me you did collegiate golf as well. So how did you have the time and the vision to come up with Acorn Hills?
Yeah, well, I wore many hats on campus, to be honest. I actually started 3 or 4 different clubs while also being on campus. So I started our business club, which then kind of I was a student spokesman for anyone like business related for everyone. And we grew that our first year. Our campus was very, very small. I think my graduating class was like 200 people. We grew that our first year to like 50 active members. So, like almost like a third of the active student roster for our class. And it was pretty cool. But for me, starting Acorn Hills, it was this pipeline dream of, during COVID, I kind of had, a lot of time to think. And being from a small town in PA, it's a lot of farms and feed stores, I like to say, instead of country clubs, a lot of munis, a lot of, just kind of people that didn't play golf growing up. I think I was one of the fortunate few to really have that opportunity. Sports growing up was primarily football, baseball, basketball. And for me, kind of picking golf as my, I guess, priority sport. I played all of them, but for me to pick golf as a priority sport, there wasn't a lot of kids that played it. And I think that usually I con my friends into playing it with me. So a lot of times when I would, go out and play golf, I tried to, um, put myself out there and try to look the best I could, but also to keeping kind of my homage to my roots of the country aspect of PA. I was always kind of perplexed with this idea of clothing and the idea of plastics as well. For me, something that seemed logical to me was when you look at something like a price tag and whether you go to Golf Galaxy or TJ Maxx or wherever you shop for clothes or just items in general, a price tag hangs off the piece of clothing that you get. And that price tag is made out of plastic and it's, really actually attached with like a little clear translucent piece of plastic. And the logical aspect was, why couldn't you change that? Because when you look at the fashion industry and you think at $4 trillion is what it comes out to be every year for fashion, you think products and product ranges and brands and everything, that's a lot of plastic usage. And there's companies out there like Patagonia and 4Ocean that do an excellent job of doing this, helping eliminate that plastic idea. But I feel, in my opinion, that they do it during the process of wearing the clothing. My experience actually, I would say, comes after you get our clothing, right? Because, we use seed paper. And what seed paper is like paper mache paste that when dry, it actually has wildflower seeds within it. And whenever you cut that off, instead of throwing that away and going to the landfill like a regular price tag, you cut that off. And even if it does end up in a landfill, it's going to plant wildflower seeds. So it's kind of the inspiration behind it. Is that, take something simple like clothing or like being eco-friendly, and finding the right vehicle to really push it. And clothing was the, kind of clear-cut choice when it came to that. And coming out of high school, I had a couple like NIL deals at the time. They weren't NIL. They're NIL, as we refer to them today. But back then, NIL wasn't really a thing, wasn't really official yet. So they were just like gear sponsorships. And, while I was very fortunate to have those, when I would get those gear sponsorships, I thought, this is amazing. I'm getting all this gear, but I think I can make something a little bit better, or at least have a little bit more of a purpose behind it. No offense to those companies at all. I think what they're doing is very good. And actually a couple of them blew up pretty good where they're doing a lot of volume on Amazon and TJ Maxx and stuff. But it was kind of cool to be on the ground floor and see that kind of back end, really, because then it gave me a lot of inspiration to start Acorn Hills and kind of not be afraid to fail.
So when you were buying clothing for yourself in golf to play sport, and you obviously have many, many different golf brands that you could choose from, what was the struggle that you were finding with finding clothes that either fit your body, fit your personality, or fit the way that you play golf?
Yeah, like I think a lot of that goes back to my hometown roots, right? Because for me, I don't want to go to a country club. Obviously, disposable income where you come from is not at a high demand, right? So you go to a country club and you're already paying 40, $50, if not more, for a greens fee cart. And, that packs a punch after a while. And you want something to remember the day because it's very special. And you walk in the pro shop and there's a $120 golf polo there. You think, geez, this has ruined the whole experience, And a lot of people choke that down and, pay it. Not that they can probably afford it at the time, but, they pay it because they try to capture that moment. So with us, one of my big things right off the bat is, we source the highest quality materials we can. And of course, being eco-friendly doesn't come cheap, right? Because it seems that there's a fine line between helping the environment and also too padding pockets a little bit when it comes to sourcing materials, because there's really, high quality is going to equal kind of a high cost. So do we take a cut on our margins for that? Of course we do. But it's the right way of doing business, in my opinion. So a polo that we could charge $150 for, we're doing it at a fraction of that cost. And it's honestly, my taglines: look good, feel good, do good. And obviously, when you look good and you feel good about yourself because you didn't, break the bank to get there, I think you're more prone to do good with that. And it's kind of contagious. We were talking backstage about psychology and things. I really think that has a way of doing things, because a lot of people, it's funny, all the time I get people send me messages or something that, they shot a personal best wearing the gear, or like they did something wearing the gear. They were on a vacation and people were commenting about it. And, that those little things like that matter. And that's what really drives a brand, in my opinion. But as far as sizing and, making sure that everyone had the right fit, starting out, I didn't know what I didn't know about sizing. So I really had to research that. And one of the things I did was on our website, I actually had like a fitting tool. It's like a AI fitting tool now that we coded, and it goes right off your body weight and height and the way you're, it'll say like, are you flat, kind of flatter in the torso, or you rounder, or, each broad shoulders. And it'll actually be dynamic in the fact that it'll put you in the right size. So it's pretty neat in that fact. As far as when we first started, though, we do two different cuts of clothing. We do standard cut, which is like your standard traditional size you would buy off the rack. And then we do the classic cut, which is more like if you had to look at it like a rectangle shape, I like to say, where it's kind of this usually like standard in the shoulders and chest, and kind of a little bit longer, right? And that's just kind of the help fit, the more rounded people, the more, shorter and stuff. It just really helps. I think our biggest customer to date's like 6'10", and he was like 395. So just an absolute massive guy. And also too, we've done some really, short people like 4'11", just a big spectrum. And I think a lot of people are so prone to go to one different brand over the other because of the way they fit, but we make sure no matter what clothing we offer, there's going to be a size for everyone.
Nice. And when I think about elite athletes and I think about entrepreneurs, there's this great deal of self-belief, like the ability to have a vision, see the vision through, even through the mess that happens through entrepreneurship. So what was the self-belief that you had, and what were some of the obstacles that you had to overcome early on in your entrepreneurial journey to help you get to where you are now?
I think a self-belief was given kind of all my experiences I had at college, and was able to juggle all this time management stuff that, well, what's one more thing? And even if, even if I would happen to fail, starting out, happen to fail with it, I'm surrounded by people that are experts in their industry, right? I had law professors, I had tax professors, marketing and accounting, and the whole, even just everything from like psychology, that I consulted with that were kind of free to me because I was a student. I just kind of passed by and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking for my brand, and this is kind of what I thought about. Do you think this would work, or do you think this approach would work? 9 times out of 10, they were more than happy to talk to me and just kind of explain what they were thinking, and really take me under their wing. So a lot of times, I almost felt like I had a little bit of a competitive advantage because obviously I'm a one-man show, but it felt like I had a whole team of people at school and, getting started, just because of I could put different feelers out for each professor or each, adjunct professor and just kind of get a feeling off of that.
Yeah. And Matt and I have experienced the loneliness of the entrepreneurial journey. Like it's only the two of us running No Bunk. It's only you running Acorn Hills. And you talk about that mentorship and how important it is, but also how important is the community around you that's supporting you, whether it be family, whether it be friends, whether it be teammates, to really give you not only that encouragement, but also that nourishment and that understanding that what you're doing is important and it has a great opportunity of being successful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my golf team itself, they were insanely well receptive. They didn't really like think twice about supporting when I first launched. And, obviously friends and family, I feel like family, my family was behind me every step of the way. But, I think more sometimes down during the process, they're like, oh, in the back of their minds, well, we'll support them, but, you don't know where it's going to go. They would never come out and say that, but my family's been insanely helpful. And actually, my mom a lot when I'm at school or when I'm doing things. I call her the warehouse worker because she helps me pack a lot of orders. So we do a handwritten note with all of our orders, and she actually writes them. She's pretty well known for her handwriting, so she actually writes all my handwritten notes. So if you ever get a handwritten note from us, it's wrote for my mom. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think as far as that nourishment, it just kind of takes someone believing in you. One of the big things for us was, I traveled all over the kind of PA in a couple different states for golf. And one time we went to a golf tournament, and more like it was so weird. This guy walked out of a pro shop we were playing. He was wearing one of our polos. Like I had no connection to this guy. And that was pretty cool to like go up and talk to him and kind of play like a third person, be like, oh, where did you get that? And just see what he would say. And then be like, oh, well, I designed it and I'm the owner of that. And so it was pretty cool on that sort of thing to really spread the brand and see how many people it actually does touch.
No, that's awesome. I think one of my friends started a watch company and he mentioned that one of his goals was to be somewhere out, and he's in Los Angeles, somewhere out somewhere, and to see somebody wearing his watch. And again, not have it be a friend or a family member, but
Yeah.
just a stranger, and kind of have that moment. The question I was going to ask you is kind of when was that like, crap, this is real, this is taken off in a certain type of way moment that you had? Was it a day where you had a ton of orders? Was it, that moment at the clubhouse where you saw a random guy wearing your shirt? What was that moment for you where you felt, oh, this is real, this has legs, and I'm looking forward to seeing where I can take it?
I think one for us was it's really weird because usually when a brand first launches, they don't really have much traction unless it's built up. When we first launched, ours was just the opposite. We actually had all this traction right off the bat. We got picked up by USA Today for like an article, and it was super awesome. But then that article actually got picked up by the Weather Channel. And within the first 2 months, the Weather Channel reached out to us and said, hey, we'd love to fly you out to set and have you on an interview. And I was like, oh, sweet. I was like, this is spam. So I fished the email originally. And
No,
yeah,
no.
but the IT department from my college, I don't know how they got my student email, but the IT department from my college bounced it back to me and like, no, this is legit. So they emailed me and said they wanted to fly me out. I think they're in Arkansas. So it would have been quite the trip for me. And I had finals. I had midterms. So I was like, I can't do this. I can't miss midterms. I was like, I have a good excuse, but I can't miss them. So actually they patched me in kind of like what we're doing now, where I did a live interview, but it was like through Zoom. And it was like April, I still remember it, April 12th of 22. They patched me in, and I was on with Stephanie Abrams and Jordan Steele, and we went in front of I went in front of millions, they told me, but that was kind of weird because 8 a.m. I had this interview with the Weather Channel. 9 a.m. I had a tax exam, so it's just like one of those crazy things. But yeah, I think that was kind of a day that was kind of crazy for me because I shut my computer from after I was done with stuff, and I opened it back up and I just kind of blew up. You know what I mean? Like there was all these orders, there were all these people on our website, there were all these messages and saying how well we were doing, and people just from all over the country. But one of the challenges we faced with that was at the time we only had 3 products. So whole flush of 30, 40,000 people on our website we sold out instantly of everything, but we only had 3 products. So now fast forward 4 years, I haven't taken a dime from the business in 4 years. I actually just roll everything over and just kind of put it in for growth and development. And I think now we're about 40 products, which is pretty awesome. So 40 sustainable products is as far as sustainable, meaning that, supply chain's pretty well lean for them. And now we're able to work with a lot of country clubs and retailers and pro shops and just all types of creators as well. One of the big things starting out was podcasts. Like I told you backstage, I've been on a lot of podcasts, And really that a lot of that comes from when we first started. I didn't have the budget for marketing. I was doing a lot of it on my own. And there's a lot of podcasters out there who might not have had the budget to bring in someone kind of obviously a lot bigger than us. So really it was kind of hand in hand. We grew together. So I always try to keep those type of people close to me because I think, that's the community. That's the people who believed in the mission from the beginning. So I actually created a network on Instagram, kind of like a segment of Acorn Hills. It's called the Creators Clubhouse. It's a group chat on there, but there's 60, 70 creators in there and people who, wear the brand and talk about it and things that are in that Creators Clubhouse that are just kind of driving everything from anywhere outside of PA. Cause obviously I handle a lot of PA stuff, but as far as, across the country, they're just pushing out content and I'm just really behind the mission. And that's something that, that's kind of one of those things that I wasn't sure how the clubhouse was going to be received by people, but it's one of those moments that I thought, well, this is amazing, and I think that this really does have traction here, and there's people within the golf industry messaging us organically, and that's kind of when I knew that we had something special.
Yeah, I was going to say, we reached out to you for a variety of reasons, but one of which was your focus on conservation. So for No Bunkers, No Bogeys, we're big on connect with yourself, connect with other people, and connect with nature. And you so aptly have built a golf clothing brand that really does connect itself and grounds itself with nature and the importance of conservation, not only related to golf, but related to just the environment in which we enjoy and experience on a daily basis. So I'd love for you to tell our audience about how your clothing is connected to conservation.
Yeah, and like I said, a big part of it comes from that seed paper, right? That really gives back, 2, 3-fold than what we take, right? Because what people think is we're a zero waste company, which yes, that's true when it comes to deliverables, but there are some things that just are unavoidable no matter what you do. I think a lot of times people think, oh, plastic's bad, plastic's bad, plastic's bad, which yes, it is. Don't get me wrong. But when you look on the flip side of things, from when I was bio pre-med, medical plastics, those are necessities of life. Plastics for machines and things. Those are necessities for growth. So do we eliminate plastic where we can? Yes, there are a lot of areas where we do, probably like 90%, I'd say 90 to 10. But there are a lot of areas that just have to have some sort of take, right? And that take, we want to make sure we give back double, triple that. So one of the things that we did starting out was, we preach this idea of looking good, feeling good, doing good. But it's like on my end, what do I do as a owner, CEO, founder to really do that on my end, right? It's like this gear. You can't have both gears turning if they both go the same way. So I actually partnered with the National Forest Foundation, and every item that's ordered on our website, every order, we plant a tree. So they plant it in, we partner with them. So where we basically do a donated portion of the sales to them. And they plant it in the national forest. It's part of a program that's planted upwards of 12 million trees in the last couple of years. Yeah. And we've only contributed, when I say only, a small number, but like 400 or 500 of those trees. But that's 400 or 500 that weren't there. And we're on pace. We already broke that for 2025 already, believe it or not. So it's pretty cool. But like I said, yeah, we really try to give back at least double, if not triple, what we take. And really try to source things ethically and organically. And like I said, our packaging is biodegradable poly mailers, craft cardboard stuff that can be recycled. We were just talking with a company today that they recycle baseball gloves, and the leather baseball gloves, as long as it's vegetable tan leather, we will work with. But they upcycle them and stuff. And so there's sort of collaborations out there. One of the things we did was collected donations for, old clothes and things. And we partnered with Planet Aid, which are a huge kind of do good company, nonprofit. But yeah, there's tons of examples out there where we've tried to really put ourselves out and do something good.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's beautiful. And you talk about the time that you spent in rural PA and the outdoor experiences you had. You mentioned your college, basically right at the footstep of Penn State.
Yeah.
When you think of either your time outside to play golf, your time outside growing up, your time outside as an adult, and how it's positively impacted your mental health, your physical wellness, what are some of the things that you think of in terms of the ways in which nature can be healing and restorative for people and communities too?
Yeah, I think, obviously in this day and age, right, we're obviously confined to a screen sometimes. Like, I know that's ironic because we're on a screen right now talking. Yeah, but I really do, everyone has bad days. And I think sometimes when you just step back and you go outside for a walk or you go play golf and just kind of realize, take it in that, this is truly amazing what we have going on here on this big orb that we call Earth. It's truly crazy. And I took a class in high school called PA Ecology. Now, PA ecology was kind of a foundation of everything in Pennsylvania. Trees, leaves, birds, fish, everything. Where we actually raised fish. We had a small we had like a small hatchery in our classroom. That was something where I really got to appreciate the outdoors, right? Because I was a big guy who liked to fish, go on hikes and stuff, but I never really like hunted or anything like that. But it's just something, especially in PA, where it's just this huge rolling hills and there's tons of oak trees, and in the fall and stuff, you can't go 2 steps without stepping on an acorn. And I thought, well, given everything I do, it'd be cool to have someone do my marketing for me. So I thought, why not let the trees do my marketing and do Acorn Hills, where this brand mark, every time you see an acorn, you think of us. It's kind of like the Vineyard Vine Whale or Nike Swoosh or Under Armour. It's like, well, that's our brand mark because we stand so proudly for it. So that's kind of where my outdoor roots came from.
No, that's beautiful. I love that story and the connection you have to an acorn. I think of an acorn, I think of potential, I think of
Yep.
growth. I also think of it as something that you see throughout the course of the day pretty abundantly, but you don't necessarily think about the potential of it. But then when you start to, you see the trees, you see the growth, you see all the
Yeah.
things that nature provides for us. I'd love to hear, without you giving away the secret sauce, because you might have some stuff planned that you're not ready to reveal yet. But as you see, the clothing line growing, are there areas that you're looking forward to getting into, whether it be different sizes, it could be youth sizes, it could be different genders, it could be different types of apparel. But I was just curious about where you see the expansion happening. And also, when you think about golf clothing in general, where are you seeing innovation and where are you seeing brands start to occupy space?
Yeah, for us, like I said, we only sell on e-commerce, like website. So that would be somewhere that I would really want to expand, right? Because we have one kind of a one-trick pony where we have a website and people order off there, or we wholesale to country clubs and stuff. It'd be cool to have another sales channel. Obviously we have Instagram, but like Amazon, Amazon reaches far beyond what we can do, and we only ship within the U.S. right now just because of shipping costs and logistics. So a pipeline dream would be pretty cool to do worldwide because for some reason I have tons of worldwide visitors, and the seeds will actually grow worldwide. They're they're domesticated wildflower seeds, so as long as it's somewhat of a nice climate or like mild-ish, they can be grown indoors and then replanted, but they do well outside like that. But that would be kind of the big dream. But like I said, I have 2,500 followers on Instagram. I know in the grand scheme of things, social media, that's nothing crazy, but also too, it's nothing to scoff at because I think those 2,500 are really behind the brand, right? Because I think all 2,500 have been connected to us some way or another. Usually when we get a follow, I'll send a message out personally, and it's not like an automated thing or anything. It's literally just me, and I say like, hey, this is Nate. I'm the founder. I just want to thank you for your follow, and uh, you know, appreciate you checking out our page. And usually it's very well received. There's not anyone that's, negative about it. It's just sometimes people don't respond because they think it's automated. So I think when they realize there's actually a real person on the other line, and when they see my face on things like this and within different collaborations and things, I think they really have that personal connection. And that's really what we try to do, right? We're not trying to put out a business, FootJoy or Peter Millar or Adidas or something like. No, they're in their own niche. I think within the small brands, like you said, small brands are doing some things pretty cool now. Every small brand's different, and that's how they develop their niche. And I think within the golf space, there are tons of apparel brands every day. There's like 20 or 30 new ones a week I see. But also too, within the same token, these brands often go out of business pretty quickly if they're not managed right. Because you see some people charging, 80, $90 a polo. It's like, well, what do you have to back that up? What value are you giving? Because anyone can slap a design on a hoodie or polo or, hat and say, okay, nail and shingle on the roof and I'm in business. And I don't know. It's just, we're not like that. I hold all the inventory. We don't drop ship. We don't, printify or anything like that where it's, a volume based thing. I think that's where a lot of apparel struggle, is they're not willing to put in a lot of the work, because there is a lot of work if you hold your inventory, right? Inventory systems, inventory, auditing and stuff, and that stuff's not fun whatsoever, but it's something that's like growing pains. And I think the brands that do survive, the average lifespan of a brand is like 3 years. The brands that do survive that are often the ones that do it kind of the long and hard way of that slow growth. I'm not trying to get rich quick, so to speak. I always like to say, you can have things quick, fast, and easy, and you can pick you can pick two of the three. If it's quick and fast, it's probably not going to be that good of a product. And if it's, cheap or something like that, it's not going to be real good. So, the good things take time. And I think our community realizes that.
Yeah, no, and I think you're accurate about just the agility of a small company, and some of these small brands can get in and out of waves and movements in the space, and then also course correct as needed. And because they're smaller in terms of size, they're able to be more responsive to the audience and be more responsive to trends and how fashion changes. And we've seen that a lot with a lot of the women's brands that we've worked with. And I'm starting to kind of notice what you're talking about with a lot of the men's brands and the
Yeah.
variety of messages, the variety of values, and how, your closet can be filled with different clothing from Acorn Hills and other, small, medium, and large manufacturers, and support all of these, not only entrepreneurs, but the ideals in which they embody with their work. So one of the things that I'd love to close on is something that I hope can be a part of our podcast moving forward, which is, we kind of talked about it before. You understand and appreciate the fact that you would not be where you are without the love and support of people who believed in your vision. Your mom helping you write the notes and packing and all this other stuff. So since you can't name everybody, we'll just lump everybody together. What would you like to say to those people, whether they're customers, family members, friends, people who retweet your messages? What would you like to say to them in appreciation for their efforts and their support?
Yeah, I think, obviously, the big thank you goes up, but I think it would be more of a question for me. I'd say, like, how did we do? Because I think with big titles and big, items and everything that we do comes big responsibility. These people work hard for their money. They go to work every day. They have families. They have hobbies and stuff, and they choose to put that with us, right? They choose to for us. So I guess my question would be, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because yes, it's kind of, even though I'm asking a question, it's still thanking them. It's like, how did we do? Did we live up to your expectations? And, if so, like, how can we do better? But as far as people supporting me, I would just say thank you. It means the world. I don't think people realize that, one or two people commenting on our posts every day make our day. When we first started, we had like 100 followers, and we might have got 3 or 4 likes a post. And then when we went on the USA Today, blew up, plateaued again, blew up. It's just a steady chain of growth, and a steady chain of also rejection as well. There are days that there are people that don't want to wear the brand, or don't want to, listen to our story. And, you just have to take that with a grain of salt, because, they have lives too, and they're entitled to that. You got to kind of let those things roll off your chest, and, just realize that, you're there if they want to come back and talk to you. But it's funny, like you said, it's lonely, more lonely than what people think, being an entrepreneur, because you're often tunnel visioned on everything. And that's something I was able to do. That's something I would kind of thank a lot of people, is if they kind of pulled me out of that a lot. There'd be times that I'd be working 6-7 hours a day on the brand before we even launched. My friends would, say, "Hey, let's go get something to eat or something." They pull me out of that, and kind of, I think that would be something I would say is thank you for letting me have that work-life balance. As weird as that it sounds, because at the end of the day, you have one life and you can't get time back. So I'm very happy with how we've used our time to grow the brand, but also too how we used our time to connect with other people.
No, that's beautiful. And that's really beautiful. And it's those people who were there from the beginning not only get to enjoy the beautiful products, but they also get to see the story start to unravel, right? And you're now years into this story, and they get to see all of the chapters of it. And now the No Bunk family does too. So we're excited
Yeah.
to be an audience to your growth, the expansion of the brand, and also supporters of your conservation efforts. But I want to be able to ask you, where can people find you on the internet? Where can people find your clothing? How can we make that happen?
Yeah, so we primarily use Meta platforms for the socials. We use Instagram. Feel free to reach out. We're at acorn.hills. Feel free to shoot us a DM. It's going to be me on the other end of the line. And if I don't get to you right off the bat, I promise I will get to you. I would love to have a conversation with anyone out there listening. But our website's www.acornhillsco.com.
All right, awesome. Well, Nate, thank you so much for spending time with us. You are an incredibly amazing man and an incredibly busy man as well. So
So,
we
hey, thank
appreciate
I
we
very much.
appreciate the time that you spent with us, and we look forward to learning more about Acorn Hills as the years go by and new drops are made.
Well, hey, thank you, Jonathan. I really appreciate kind of our connection on socials, and this is kind of one of the more reasons I validate that connection. Reaching out, talking to people, because if we wouldn't have reached out to each other, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. So, it's just kind of how we grow together.
Yeah, and this conversation is a stepping stone or the first step in Matt and I and you getting together and figuring out ways that we can not only support nature, but also support our two brands and businesses because we align and agree with a lot of similar values. So I'm excited about that. But
Yeah, me too.
I look forward to talking to you soon. And this is JJ of Matt and JJ signing off for the Birdie on One podcast. Nate, thank you for coming and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Hey, thanks, guys.